Any questions for Mark or Raj? What are we doing, Robert?
Fell on my die.
Oh, Roger ate his microphone.
The alternative investments, it seems like that's going to require more professional help. It's not like buying a stock or a bond. Plus, what's happened in the last year or so, it seems like the market and everything, bonds are related more to international situations controlled by central banks and, of course, manipulation by the governments.
Yes, I would say, Ben, that professional help is an excellent idea when you're venturing into alternative investments on your own. And but also you need to keep your head in the game, I guess is how I put it, and try to understand as much as you can, and probably try not to invest in anything if you don't understand it. The sad thing is, there's a lot of people that simply don't understand how a bond works. And that's unfortunate, but it's true. And it's way different than a stock. And, so getting help is a very good idea. We can provide help at some level. If you're inclined to do it yourself and make some of your own decisions, we can provide some good help to you and our own perspective. But there's good professional managers out there as well who deal in it every day, who know the markets, who have their finger on the pulse of the markets. And if you can find your way to good managers, you can do yourself a big favor.
Let me put a caveat in here. We are not issuing you any investment advice today. Okay, this is all simply educational and informative. If you need investment advice, we can help you find that. We can even participate in it. But today is not investment advice. It's just education. I don't know if that covers us, Greg, but it's a good start on a caveat here. Roger, you going to say something else?
Ben had a question as far as international companies and so forth. The way I'd want to respond is most of our companies are becoming international. And if we went back to that slide in 2000, there were 9,000 invested or companies that we could have invested in listed markets. Today there's 5,000. 5,000. It's happened. We have had so many mergers and acquisitions. We've had privatization of companies. A lot has been driven by Sarbanes-Oxley, the response to the Enron debacle, and because of all the cost that it takes to maintain compliance and so forth. And so we went from 9,000 to about 5,000 companies on listed exchanges. We're going to go through the same process right now with banks. We're going to lose a lot of small banks. I mean, it's kind of the reverse of what you want. You want the larger banks to get bigger, but that's exactly what's going to happen because the regulations are getting so excessive. Go from one person compliance to 4-person compliance with small bank. You can't afford all 4 people.
On the graph with all the lines, Ben, the thing that came out the best return over the last 10 years was diversified emerging markets. So that's a sign of the times.
Another question,
This is the beginner's question. First of all, what is the fair price for having a wealth manager? 1% or is it more now?
I would approach it this way. It depends upon what you're really managing. You can get really good wealth management for probably 60 basis points or 0.6%.
Okay. And my second question is alternative investments. You didn't say much about real estate. Real estate in which you live, by the way.
I don't consider what I live in as an investment. That eats. My home has real estate taxes, it has insurance, it's got utility bills and repairs and so forth. So I don't consider a house really as an investment.
My perspective on that as well is that real estate could be put in the traditional investments category.
Okay.
It's been around a long time as an investment, and people have been owning rental properties, and there's all these REITs that are created now. So it, in some ways, is much more traditional than some of these other things up there.
Exactly.
But what you're looking for, the whole reason for the name alternative is to find your way to this negative correlation. So if the stock market's going crazy, you want something to kind of provide an anchor. And traditionally bonds have done that, but stocks and bonds move somewhat more in concert with each other in terms of pricing.
But real estate isn't an
in certain
inflation
markets.
hedge.
Real estate can be an inflation hedge, right? And if it's producing income, it acts more like a bond than a stock, actually. So it can be a substitute for a bond, or you can be a speculator and buy a property that you think is going to go up in 2 years and sell it. That's
Dangerous.
more speculative. So, but real estate is an important investment that can be included in a mix of investments. And today you don't have to be the landlord. You can be an investor in the REITs and have some properties. You got to watch out for REITs because they're all over the map in terms of how much leverage they use, how aggressive they are, who's managing it, what type of property is it. And so a REIT has no bearing on whether it's good or bad. It's just a name for something. It's a structure. REIT, a real estate investment trust.
I want to make this one comment because one of the slides that was up there. If you get into what we call stagflation, we've had that period of time, and many of you are old enough to remember the 70s. We can have a period for a really quality company like a 3M that will sit there. I can see Carol Kermeyer there. I have a hunch you watched from 1965 to about 81. 3M stock was stayed almost a flat line, but the dividends kept on going up and up with inflation. And that really has to be part of the calculation for any retiree to understand what's happening, what will happen with the quality stocks as far as producing income.
Any other questions? Oh, I see one more question back there. I think this will be our last question, and then we're going to take a break.
Sir, if I understood you correctly when you were speaking, the peak of the stock market in the 2000s was built on a house of cards.
Yeah.
Now it's much higher. How much percent of the stock market now is built on a house of cards?
Actually, the market's probably not on a house of cards right now. March 24, 2000, it clearly was. But it's taken 13 years of grinding through little additional corporate earnings, a lot of stock buybacks, and so forth to get to where we are. So we have PEs right now, in the 16 to 17 PEs. I think they're high, but they're not really high when we got interest rates as low as they are. And so I wouldn't be a bit surprised if this market turns out a 6 to 8% return again next year. But at that point in time, I'm starting to buy earnings from the future. And but it would not surprise me. Wall Street actually got it pretty right as far as where the market's going to end this year. The number that was pegged by most of the pros was about 1760 on the S&P. And that would be earnings of accumulated earnings of the S&P stocks. It would be about 110 times 16. That's really where they thought the market would be. We've gone through that a little bit. We're about 1807, 1808 right now. So we're a little beyond where they thought. We're buying a little bit from the future, but it's nothing like it was in 2000.
I think it is helpful to remember that stock market and the economy don't always correlate. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Unemployment's down right now, according to the government statistics. Raj, where's the overall employment numbers right now in relationship to where we were a number of years
Well, we're
ago?
not sure we're getting really good information.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of articles on how good is the information. But it's not just unemployment, it's underemployment. It's people that have less hours working than they want to, and the number is very high if you add all that in. You're probably somewhere up around 12%. But when we look out the windows where we are living, we can't judge the country. Because in the Midwest, we are not been hurt near as bad as much of the country.
Exactly.
You go to South Dakota, we don't have any unemployment. We go to North Dakota, we don't have any unemployment. Wisconsin's fared pretty well. We have fared pretty well. But if you can get down to some of the other states and in the South, it's not been good at all.